And honestly, I believe that this movie is absolutely perfect. Greetings everyone, my name is Nightshade, this is The Night Shift, a home for all things spooky, and today we're going to be talking about Scream, released in 1996. Honestly, I owe so much to this movie, it is insane. This is the first horror movie that I ever watched, and after watching this movie, I only wanted to watch horror after that. I just wanted to watch all of the horror movies. And honestly, if it wasn't for this movie, I don't know if I would be as avid of a mask collector as I am, because the very first mask that I went on a hunt for that I can remember is the Ghostface mask from Scream. So it all started with this movie for me. So it only made sense to me that, doing these horror movie reviews, the big IPs, that I should absolutely start with Scream, because that's where I got my start in horror, when I was but a wee lad. So how we're gonna do this is I'm going to break this down into two parts, what I liked and what I didn't like. But we're gonna start with the positives, with what I liked, which is the story. Much like with any movie out there, the most important factor of any movie, at least for my personal point of view, is the story. The story has to be good. The basic outline of the story is that a year after her mother's death, Sidney Prescott and her friends are being harassed by a gentleman in a ghostly costume, and they all get picked off one by one. That is just the bare bone outline of the story. I mean, it's a lot more rich and fuller, and there's a lot more detail in it. But the story itself is pretty good. I also love the way that they handled this story, especially with the exposition points. And I honestly think a lot of modern horror could learn a thing or two from Scream, because the way that the exposition in this movie is delivered, it's bit by bit. It's never just spoon-fed like a lot of horror movies tend to do nowadays. One of my biggest pet peeves is big exposition dumps in any movie. Nobody talks like that, oh, we have to do this because this happened and this happened and this happened, therefore we have to do this. People don't talk like that, and it really bugs me whenever, I see it it's really common in a lot of modern horror movies, but just any movie that feeds that kind of exposition, it just feels very forced, and you can definitely tell that you're watching a movie. I know I came to the movies to watch a movie, but I feel like I'm watching a movie whenever those type of exposition dumps happen, and it's not fun. It's like nails on a chalkboard for me whenever I see that in any horror movie. But the way that they handle the exposition in this is absolutely beautiful. So Sydney's mom, Maureen, has been killed, but we don't know that until way later into the movie. There's little subtle clues and dialogue that feels natural, that lead us in that, oh, her mom's been killed, but we don't find it out until probably halfway through the movie. And through little tidbits of dialogue, we find out it's just been a year. It's only a year later. Yeah, the story and the story delivery and all the components and plot that work to feed the story, top notch. So next on my positives list is the opening. Scream has one of the most iconic openings in any horror movie ever.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes?
Who is this?
Who are you trying to reach?
What number is this?
What number are you trying to reach?
I don't know.
Well, I think you have the wrong number.
Do I?
It happens. Take it easy.
For me, especially when it comes to slashers, I think Scream and Halloween, those two are neck and neck for me for greatest horror movie openings of all time. The way this movie starts off with an innocent phone call, and it gradually gets more and more nefarious to the point that it ends up with Casey, the young lady that answers the phone, Drew Barrymore's character. It starts with an innocent back and forth and ends with her and her boyfriend's ultimate demise. And the way that is built and the way that is framed, the way that it was shot, the cinematography in this movie is amazing. But the way that whole sequence plays out is absolutely 100% perfect in every single way, shape, and form. And I am not trying to gas that up. That's just, in my opinion, this is a perfect horror movie opening. So on to the next thing I like, which is the characters. I enjoy every single character in this movie, which is a rarity in most movies for me. There's always at least one person that gets under my skin and I'm just like, I fucking hate you. I love every single notable character in this movie. Like background characters, they're background people, but every major player in this movie is somebody that I enjoy. Like Sidney Prescott is the ultimate final girl in my opinion. Above Laurie Strode, above Nancy Thompson, above Tommy Jarvis. She is the ultimate final girl, and you know, nobody can change my mind on that. And then you got Randy, who's the horror nerd. That's most people's favorite character in this movie outside of maybe Sidney or Ghostface. But Randy is also one of my all-time favorite characters, like in any movie. Just like how passionate he is about horror movies, and you know, he just really represents us, the audience that are watching these movies. And yeah, definitely. And like, you know, Jamie Kennedy's awesome. I actually went and saw him do stand-up whenever I went and visited LA. I saw him at the Laugh Factory, and yeah, he's pretty hilarious. He looks completely different now, but he was absolutely hilarious. And then you got Dewey, who's like the bumbling, lovable idiot, and he's been the bumbling, lovable idiot, you know, throughout the entire Scream franchise. That's his job. That's what he does. And he also doubles as a fucking pincushion because he gets stabbed in almost every single one of these movies, but we'll talk about that later. Then you got Gail, played by Courtney Cox, who is a very believable bitch.
Where's she going?
Look, Kenny.
Yeah?
I know that you're about 50 pounds overweight, but when I say hurry, please interpret that as move your fat tub of lard ass now!
Like, we all know those types of people that are just complete fucking assholes, and they do that to get what they want out of life, and they're not very pleasant people to be around, and normally that would turn me off of a character, but the way that they played it off in this movie is like really good, and you know, eventually there's like an arc within her, you know, character that you end up liking her at the end of the movie, which I respect. And then you got Tatum, who is the best friend of Sidney Prescott, and she really does, like, they really do feel like real friends in real life, which I do appreciate. Then you got their boyfriends Billy and Stu, which are also pretty awesome characters. We're going to talk a little bit more in-depthly about them here in a little bit. So let's go ahead and move to my next thing of likes in this movie, which is the kills. Now, I originally only grew up with the trilogy. The you know, Scream 4 didn't come out until later in my life. Whenever you just look at it from the trilogy standpoint, from the 1, 2, and 3, this definitely, hands down, had the best kills in the entire franchise. And that was true up until about Scream 4. They really started dialing up the gore in Scream 4. But yeah, the kills in this movie are super solid. Like, even though some of them are just knife swipes, they're still pretty cool. You've got disembowelings, hangings, and crushings through garage doors. I mean, what's not to like? If you love Carnage Candy, this has Carnage Candy. And we'll talk a little bit more in-depthly about these kills later on in the week whenever we do Rank the Kill, where I will be taking every single kill in this movie and ranking them from worst to best, and giving you my reasonings for why I rank them the way that I do. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, maybe consider subscribing if you're new to this channel. So I'm going to stop talking about the kills so we have some dope content for Wednesday, and I'm going to go ahead and move right into the next category, which is Ghostface. Now, Ghostface is without a doubt an iconic outfit. Like, I love that they modeled his entire outfit out of, like, you know, those Grim Reaper costumes and stuff like that. They took their own take on it. They're made way more expensively than those old cheap Halloween costumes, but, you know, I like that that was the basis for the design of the cloak, as well as that mask. That mask is absolutely perfect. Like, the Ghostface mask is absolutely perfect. I mean, it's been tweaked throughout the years, but it cannot be outdone. And production would know because they tried to with the K&B sculpt, and it just didn't look as good as just the original sculpt from the original mask makers. Everything in the original sculpt was perfect right out the gate. Like, it was perfect right from the start, and, you know, there was no perfecting it anymore from there at that time. And like I said, they tried, and, you know, the K&B mask has grown on me a little bit, but it's still nowhere near as cool. But yeah, the Ghostface mask, the sparkly shroud, the signature Buck 120 as Ghostface's, you know, knife of choice. as well as an amazing vocal performance by Roger Jackson, who does the voice of Ghostface. He really does a great job of sounding menacing while also talking calm.
Tatum, just get in the car.
Hello, Sydney.
Hi. Who is this?
You tell me.
Well, I have no idea.
Scary night, isn't it? With the murders and all, it's like right out of a horror movie or something.
And his voice has only gotten better over time. Like, the older he gets, the more gravelly he gets in his throat, the cooler Ghostface sounds. Every single one of those aspects is what makes Ghostface such a cool character. Like, if it wasn't for the robe, I don't think that it would work. If it wasn't for that mask, I don't think he would work. If it wasn't for Roger Jackson's voice, I don't think it would work. I don't think it would work the same without any of those things. But whenever you combine all of those things, it's absolutely an amazing, iconic character, and that's why, like, Ghostface is my second favorite slasher of all time. And I mean, he is a very, very close second as far as horror icons go. He almost got the #1 spot after Halloween Ends came out. Yeah, just everything about Ghostface, I think, is absolutely perfect. I wouldn't change anything about the design. They've made a few tweaks throughout the movies with, like, the robes and stuff like that, but all of them are pretty much the same. Like, they've experimented with different robes, but they haven't strayed too far from the original concept, and I'm really excited to see more Ghostface whenever Scream 7 drops. Getting pretty hyped about that. So now that we've talked about Ghostface, let's go ahead and go into my next and final favorite thing about this movie, which is the killer reveal, the Ghostface reveal. If you haven't seen this movie before, spoiler alert, but whenever it was revealed, like, I remember watching this as a very little kid, and I had no idea that Billy and Stu were the killers. Like, mind you, I was a little kid, not really taking in all of the information. I was just watching the movie just to watch it. Now, as I've gotten older, you know, I find more and more appreciation for the characters of Billy and Stu and their motives, and I love that they sprinkle hints throughout the entire movie, letting you know, yeah, it's them for sure. Like for instance, the scene at the fountain whenever Stu is joking around and kind of revealing a little too much that they are Ghostface, and then Billy is like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Shut up. Like, he keeps giving him looks and is like, it's called tact, fuckrag.
You take a knife and you slit him from groin to sternum. Hey, it's called tact, you fuckrag.
Or like when Ghostface is chasing Sydney up the stairs and you can hear Stu's voice going, easy, easy. Which Stu ends up saying again by the locker. All those little things, little tiny details that they sprinkled in throughout this movie to, you know, reveal that, yeah, this was them the whole time. Which makes for a very fun second watching, third watching, you know, however many times you watch this movie, it's always a good time. At least it is for me. I can't speak for everybody. I know that there is a minority of Scream haters out there, which, you know, that's okay. It's fine to be wrong, but, you know. After the reveal of Billy and Stu being the killer, that was pretty revolutionary at the time. You know, back in the 90s, there wasn't a lot of dual killers in horror movies, at least up until that point. So when it was revealed that there was two killers, that surprised a lot of audiences at that time, which, you know, it doesn't seem like much now, but it was something big back then. And I do love their motivations. Like, Billy's motivation makes perfect sense. He killed Sydney's mom because Sydney's mom had sex with his dad, and that caused his mom to leave him. So this was like a mama's boy abandonment issue. But I really love Stu's motivation, which is there is no motivation. Sounded like a good idea, so I did it type of thing, which I can appreciate, and I also very much respect it because, you know, not everything has to have a reason. Not every person has to have a reason. It's almost scarier if somebody doesn't have a reason for doing what they're doing, like doing these heinous acts just because. So with that being said, on to my negatives, which starts off with the first negative, and that is there is no negative. That's right, this is one of those horror movies, the rare horror movies for me, that I find to be perfect from front to back. Like, once upon a time, I would have told you my only gripe was the K&B mask, and honestly, it's grown on me, especially since we've gotten one in the collection. And if you haven't checked out that video, the link will be in the description below. Go peep it. But yeah, the K&B mask has grown on me, and I like that it really kind of cements that the original mask was perfect as is. Even though it's gone through a handful of tweaks, you know, these original masks are something special and cannot be outdone. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with this movie in my mind. Like, yeah, sure, there's a few little, like, maybe continuity issues or something like that, but, you know, those things don't bug me. And, you know, when it comes to, like, continuity, sometimes if there's, like, a mess up, like when Sydney clearly says no, but it comes out as Dewey, it only adds to the charm of the movie for me. And, yeah, this is one of the few movies that I consider perfect. And this movie was a shot in the arm. It came out whenever all of the major IPs were having their very worst sequels coming out. I think Curse of Michael Myers came out a year or two before Scream, and you know, Jason Goes to Hell as well. Absolutely terrible films. I don't even really like Wes Craven's A New Nightmare. It's not one that's ever really stood out to me as an enjoyable movie. But then along came Scream, bringing something fresh and new to the table and bringing us a brand new horror icon that is Ghostface. And Scream really revitalized the slasher genre of horror. Like, it was very much on life support, and everybody was willing to pull the plug on all of these major horror IPs. This is a very important movie as far as, like, horror goes, like, over the years. Like, John Carpenter's Halloween really set the tone for slasher movies going forward, and then Scream came along and saved the entire genre of slashers. And, you know, there's something to be said for that. So yeah, Scream for me is an absolutely perfect movie. There is nothing wrong with this movie. I think it is an amazing movie, but that can't be said for the sequels, which we will be getting into next week. And if that sounds like something that appeals to you, then maybe consider subscribing and turning on the little bell icon so you can get notified when those drop. Look at me, I'm starting to sound like a real YouTuber. So later on this week, we're going to be doing the Rank the Kills, and I have a super dope Ghostface mask unboxing that we're going to be doing on Friday. Really, really pumped to get that out, and I'm really happy to be able to get all this content out as well. You know, finally hit a stride here. Let's hope that everything keeps going normal. I almost died this week from fucking food poisoning, but, you know, we're still muscling through and getting this thing done. So that's just gonna about do it for me. If you liked the video, let me know by leaving me a like. Comment down below, what are your thoughts on Scream? Are you one of the people that love Scream with all of your heart, or are you one of those people that don't really like it at all? Either way, let me know in the comments below. I look forward to seeing you all down there. And until next time, my name is Nightshade. This has been The Night Shift, and I will see you in the next video. Stay spooky, my friends.